So has anyone ever had their teacher threaten to throw them out of a window when you were 8 years old? When I was in 2nd grade, I had a teacher we'll call Miss Seuss, because she was absolutely obsessed with Dr. Seuss, and she had a temperament that could change at the flick of a switch. Sometimes she would be sweet, and other times she would be emotionally and verbally aggressive. She would threaten, yell, and intimidate, and it made a lot of us very uncomfortable. I remember one time in particular, I was chatting with a kid in my class, because honestly, I really had no friends, and good conversation was rare for me. And my classwork and homework was done anyway, so what's the harm, right? I was trying to be quiet, but I guess I was loud enough for her to hear me, because Miss Seuss had a reaction. She cuts her lesson short, looks at me, and goes, "Okay, Miss Know-It-All, you think you know everything. You're talking during my class, does that mean you're finished?" And I go, "Yes, ma'am, Okay, well if you think you're more important than me, come up here and teach the class." And I sit there because I can't tell if she means it. "Get up here. Now." And so I do. I walk to the front of my classroom, and as I stand in front of her, she walks to sit in my chair and goes, "Go ahead. I'm waiting since you're clearly smarter than me." And because I was an anxious, undiagnosed, neurodivergent child who didn't understand the concept of a rhetorical order, I just picked up the dry erase marker and I started writing out the problem I had finished on my homework. And as I start explaining what I had done to do it, she tries to interrupt me by talking, and I just ignore her and continue explaining the problem. Everyone is just quietly listening to me, even when she tries to interrupt me. She then gets up from her chair, snatches the marker out of my hand, and tells me to sit down. I think she was trying to embarrass me, or teach me a lesson, and got upset when it didn't work. And her usual behavior wasn't some, regular strict teacher stuff. We are literally 8 years old, and she's threatening children that she will pound them into knuckle sandwiches if we don't do our homework, that we're stupid, idiots, worthless, dumb. It was so bad, the only friend I actually had in the entire school had to transfer because Miss Seuss picked on her. And that takes a toll on you when you're a kid. One day, I got out of class and my mom picked me up from school. And once again, I sat in her car and I cried because I didn't want to go back. I felt like I was doing everything wrong, and my mom, being the very fierce Italian woman she is, decides she's going to get evidence. Because this teacher already had a pile of parental complaints. But being that it was an uptight Catholic school, even when they did investigate, they didn't believe us, and they weren't inclined to do anything about it. So my mom grabs her old Sony Pressman and starts forming a plan. One thing I love about my mother is that she's never treated me like a child. She's always spoken to me like she knew I had as much wherewithal as any adult. So when she told me she was going to teach me how to record audio with this Pressman cassette recorder, I was all in. One day, it's just past spring break and it's chilly and rainy, so my mom decides to tuck this Pressman into my cardigan pocket so I can record Miss Seuss when she starts to yell at my classmates. After this, my memory gets a little fuzzy, but what my mom told me was this. Even though the recording was fuzzy and cloudy in some places, she could still be heard in salty students. And this, combined with a bunch of other parents complaining of similar accusations, led to Miss Seuss finishing out the year and never returning. I did remember us having a substitute teacher for about 2 weeks, and there were a lot of times where they had those, teacher monitor people in the classroom. She was always on her best behavior then. But beyond that, after what happened with Miss Seuss, along with a great deal of bullying I was experiencing at that school, my mom transferred me to the public school system.